Hello, I'm going to start by asking you to hit the like button on this yoga video. This is my yin restorative rejuvenating yoga class, and I'm really happy to share it with you. So get yourself, if you want, a canvas strap such as this. Get yourself a few pillows, a bolster, and maybe 2 or 3 blocks of whatever width you like. So let's just get started. We're going to start in Savasana, which is corpse pose. We'll set our intentions for the practice. Focus on what you want to bring into your life and what you're needing to let go of in order to allow that shift and that change to happen. We will remain in the corpse pose while setting our intentions. Now we will prepare to do 5 deep belly breaths with hands on the tummy like you were filling a balloon with air, or you're 9 months pregnant, or you've got a basketball in your belly. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth 5 times. Continue to remain in Savasana. Just relaxing into it, sending your brain and your muscles and your body all of the messages of relaxation and safety and trust. This should be a very soothing practice. Now we're going to rotate the head and the neck slowly to the right. Hold for 2 breaths. Then rotate back to neutral. And turn your head and your neck to be looking over your left shoulder for 2 breaths. And back to neutral. When we're done with that, we're going to hug the right knee for several breaths. You might want to engage your foot, flexing your heel, pointing your toe, rotating your ankle. Continuing to hug that knee tightly, paying close attention to any micro movements and the compression in your right hip. After a couple more breaths, begin to reach for your strap, getting the canvas to go across the ball of your foot, and then straightening your leg out. You can actually have that knee slightly bent. You can straighten it. You can do a little bit of both, mix it up. So your leg is straight up in the air Your foot is on the strap and you're holding the strap with both hands, pulling that leg just a little bit closer to your chest. It's important in yin yoga to not take your stretches to the fullest extent that you can. You want to back off a little bit from that edge because you're holding the poses for a while, much longer than regular yoga. Now we're going to bring that leg out to the right side with or without the strap for the half straddle. Set your right leg back down on the mat, switching legs, setting your strap aside. Hug your left knee in, hug that left knee tight. And you can engage your foot, flex your heel, point your toe, rotate your ankle. As you continue hugging that knee tightly, pay close attention to the micro movements in your hip, and again, focus on the compression in your left hip socket. Then we'll place the strap across the ball of your left foot, straightening out your left leg and holding it there. Again, you might want to have your knee slightly bent. You might want to straighten it. You might want to go back and forth between slightly bent and straightening it. Whatever is comfortable for your body. And then we're going to swing that left leg out to the left with or without the strap again for the half straddle. It's a big stretch in your thigh. Breathe into it. Then lower that left leg back down to the mat. With both legs straight, stretch your arms out long overhead, and then hug both of your knees tightly. Continue to hold your right knee while you lower your left leg back down to the mat. And then you might want to grab a bolster or a pillow and take that right knee and place it on the left side of your body for the supine twist. Your arms can be in a T. You're going to keep your gaze out over your right fingertips. You have an option to use your left hand to apply light pressure to your right knee at any point if you wish. We'll relax into the supine twist. Just enjoy it. Notice any tension in your body. Try to make a conscious effort to release that tension. And while you're holding these poses, make any adjustments that you need. There's no need to try to remain still. You can move around however you wish. And just focus on your relaxation and your comfort. Continue with your drishti out over your right fingertips. Getting that extra stretch in your neck and your back. And then we're going to slowly turn the head and neck to look to the left. Going to hold that gaze over the left shoulder for 2 full breaths. And then slowly turn the head and neck back to looking out over the right shoulder, over the right fingertips. And then back to neutral. Lower your right leg back down to the floor. Then hug in both of your knees together. Head and neck towards the knees, rocking and rolling. And then when you're ready, lower your right leg to the floor while continuing to hug your left knee in. And then bring that left knee across your body to place it onto the floor on the right side for the supine twist on the other side. And you can use your bolster again, or a pillow, or block to rest your knee on. Arms are in a T. Holding this pose, keeping your gaze out over your left fingertips. Again, you can use your right hand at any point in time to apply a light pressure to the left knee. Relaxing into the stretch. Really reveling in its glory. This practice is for you. It's all about you. After keeping your gaze over your left fingertips, we're going to slowly rotate the head and the neck all the way to be looking out over the right fingertips if your arms are in that T. If they're not in a T, then you're just looking out over your right shoulder. Holding that for 2 full breaths. And then turning your head and your neck back to look out over the left shoulder again, slowly. And then back to neutral. Lower the left leg back down to the floor to come out of the twist. And then hug both of your knees again, stretching the neck, rotating your ankles and engaging the feet, flexing the heels, pointing your toes. And we're going to get into reclined butterfly. You might want to have a bolster under your knees. Again, you can use pillows or blocks, whatever you're comfortable with. Reach your arms out to both sides as wide as you can, arching them overhead in a half moon to steeple grip. We're going to hold this stretch. And then we're going to slowly flap our butterfly wings down so that our arms are at our sides, hands, palms are facing up. Slowly moving your arms back up overhead in that half moon arch once again. Touching your fingertips to each other when you get to the top of the arch. With your arms stretched overhead, fingers and thumbs touching, stay in the butterfly pose for a few more breaths. You can remove a bolster or pillow if you've got something like that under your knees. You can set that to the side. We're going to do a reclined tree pose on each side. So first, bring the sole of your right foot to the inseam of your left leg, keeping your arms in prayer hands overhead, holding for several breaths. Now we will simply switch sides, placing the sole of your left foot to the inseam of your right leg. Arms are still in prayer hand overhead, prayer hands. Or if you'd rather, you can have your arms branching out. You can keep them in goalpost, steeple grip, yogi's choice, whatever is the best for your position here. And now get ready to reach for your strap, placing the strap on the balls of both feet for legs up the wall. Knees can be straightened or bent slightly. You can rock, you can wiggle, you can alternate your legs straight and bending each one at a time if you wish, sort of walking them out, pedaling your legs out. Now continue to keep your left foot in your strap on the ball of your foot, placing your right foot across your left thigh for reclined pigeon. And we'll hold this for about a minute. You can bend that left knee slightly if you'd like. You can keep it straightened. You can do a little bit of both, alternating between straight and bent. Feel that stretch in your outer thigh, in your glute, in your knee. Take care of your knee. Be gentle on your knee. Remember, you're not supposed to push yourself as far as you can go. Find that edge and back off a little bit. Now you can prepare to switch your feet out, getting your right foot into the strap and then your left foot across your right thigh for the other side. Again, option to bend the knee, straighten it out, or mixing it up back and forth. I try to do this practice every day, at least once a day. I love it. All right, so now we're gonna lay both legs back down to the mat, flattening out, setting the strap aside. We're gonna do 3 bumblebee breaths. Fingers are covering your eyes, your index finger, your middle finger, and your ring finger. Thumbs on the ear cartilage. You can press your thumbs down on that tragus to close off the airway to your ears to get more of a honey bumblebee effect. We're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, and we're going to hum low pitch 3 times. And now we're going to turn ourselves over slowly to the left or to the right, flipping yourself over to lay prone on your front side. You can rest your head on your hands, laying them on top of each other. Then we're going to come up onto elbows and forearms into the Sphinx. Hiking up your right knee out to your right side with your right arm out in front of you. With your left arm, you can thread the needle, making any adjustments for this pose that you need. As you are getting yourself into the supine twist once again, you might want to grab a bolster or pillow again to rest your knee on. You can get your right hand onto your right hip. You can straighten out that right arm, trying to lay it flat on the ground with both shoulders flat. Or you can keep the right hand on that right hip. At any point in time, you can use your left hand to apply a slight pressure to your right knee, keeping your gaze out over your right shoulder or over your right fingertips. Notice the difference from the last supine twist, having gotten into this pose from an entirely different sequence of directives. Also, pay attention to the similarities along with the differences. Again, you can apply that light pressure with your left hand on your right knee at any point. And now when you undo your twist, we're going to rest the head again on the hands, lightly stacked on top of one another. And then bend the knees, windshield wiper the feet and the calves, back and forth before laying your feet back down to the mat, coming up onto your forearms and elbows and hands once again into that Sphinx pose. And then we're going to hike the left knee up to the left side with the left arm out in front. Thread your right arm through the needle. And then you can place your left hand on your left hip. Same as the other side. You can adjust yourself so that both shoulders and arms are flat on the ground in a T, or simply keep your left hand on your left hip. Again, you've got the option to apply that light pressure with the right hand on the left knee if you wish, and keeping your gaze out over your left shoulder or your left fingertips if your arms are in a T. Again, noticing any similarities and any differences to when you last did the supine twist, or even just from one side to the other. Now, when you're done coming out of that pose, untwisting, again, rest your head on your hands, stacked lightly atop of one another. And in an exaggerated motion, really windshield wiper those feet and knees, loosening your hips out. And then lower the feet to the ground. And we will send our hips back towards our feet into a wide knee child's pose. You can use a bolster or a pillow or a block to rest your torso on. We're going to hold this wide knee child pose. Really relax into it. Ragdoll the upper portion of your body, allowing gravity to do the work for you. And if you're using supports, really feel the support from those pillows or bolster or blocks. Trust gravity, trust the supports to take care of you, to keep you safe, to keep you healthy. Just letting go. Sometimes it's not as easy as it might sound, huh? You can continue to get into a deeper and deeper level of relaxation, ragdolling your torso. And when we're done, we will remove the props. Come through a tabletop movement to lay back onto the belly, and then back into Sphinx on the forearms. Again, elbows and hands. This time spreading your fingers and hands out as wide as you can. Really feel that Sphinx. And then slowly and carefully turn your right forearm parallel with the top of your mat. Slowly and carefully reaching back with your left hand for your left foot for the half bow. In the event that you cannot reach your left foot, do not worry about that. Just do whatever stretching you're comfortable with in that pose. You can also use the strap to hold your foot if you'd like to do that. Continue to breathe into this stretch. And then when you let go, rest your head on your hands once again, one hand on top of the other, and windshield wipering your feet once more, really shaking out those hips. Lower your feet back down to the mat, and the same thing to the other side. We'll first get into Sphinx, up on the elbows and forearms, spreading the hands and fingers out as wide as you can. Really feeling that Sphinx pose before turning your left forearm to be parallel with the top of your mat. Reaching with your right hand to try to grab for your right foot and hold that for several breaths if you're holding your foot. If you're not, that's fine too. Or again, you can use the strap here if you need. If you are holding your foot, you're going to really feel that tension in your right thigh. Just breathe into it. And then as you let go, get both feet back down to the mat. And again, send your hips back towards your feet, sitting on your feet into child's pose. You can rest your head on a block. We're going to be in this child's pose for a little bit. Again, ragdoll that torso. Really relax into it. And then we're going to slide the hands over towards the right edge of the mat, or you can walk your fingers to that right side of the mat. Reaching towards the right corner. Really feeling that stretch in your left ribs. And then walking the fingers back or sliding back to neutral. And then over to the left edge of the mat. Reaching for that left corner. Feeling that stretch in the right rib cage. And then getting the hands back to neutral. Ragdolling your torso in the child's pose. Slowly coming up into hero's pose. If you need to put a block under your bum, you can do that as we pause in hero's pose momentarily. And then we're going to swing the legs around in front of you for staff pose. You can place a bolster, maybe stack some pillows on top of your legs to ragdoll your torso over your legs. Alternatively, you can use the strap on the balls of your feet for the same effect here. We're going to hold this for a minute. Envision tilting your hips towards your feet, towards your toes. Again, allowing gravity to do the work for you and allowing the props to completely support you. Relax into it. Hey, sweetie, I'm recording here. Those darn kids. All right, so we are still resting our torso on the stack of pillows. It's a good stretch. Seems a lot easier than it is, right? And when we're done with that, we're going to remove the pillows or the bolster. We're going to keep the left leg stretched out long and bring the right foot to the inseam of your left thigh. Reach for those left toes. We're going to hold this for several breaths. You might be holding the left toes with the left hand and then reaching the right hand over the toes. Continue to hold and breathe into that stretch. Again, allow gravity to do the work for you. Then we're going to get into a wide straddle stretch. Both legs out to the side. Lean forward. Breathe into that. And then we're going to switch it out to the other side. The left foot to the inner right thigh. Reaching for your right toes with your right hand. And then maybe your left hand reaching over those right toes. Enjoy that stretch. Breathing into it. And just a reminder, you don't push yourself to the limit. You back off a little bit from where that edge is. And you can shift and change, make slight changes or major changes in your position as you're doing these. Coming out of that, we will stretch both legs out into the wide straddle again. Leaning forward, you can either reach for your blocks out in front of you, or you can stack a couple of blocks on top of each other and rest your forehead on the block stacked. And then we will come into seated butterfly, holding both of your feet with the soles together, bending your neck and head towards your feet. Then bringing your head up to neutral. We're going to slowly twist our head and neck to the right, looking over the right shoulder. And then back to neutral, twisting the head and neck to the left, looking over the left shoulder. And then back to neutral. Stretch the neck down. You might want to roll it a little bit from side to side. If you feel safe and comfortable, you can do a full circle from one direction all the way around, and then the other side, the other direction all the way around. You can nod your head side to side like a no. You can nod up and down slightly like a yes. And then we'll get back to neutral before shifting into easy pose. And then dropping your right ear to your right shoulder. You have an option here to use a light pressure with your right fingertips on the top of your head. Really enjoy that neck stretch. You can sort of massage those muscles by nodding your head back and forth very, very carefully, gently, and slightly. Then coming back to neutral, drop your left ear to your left shoulder with that slight pressure with your left fingertips if you wish. And again, massaging those neck muscles out by moving the head slightly forward and slightly back. And then back to neutral. We're going to bring ourselves into that wide straddle once more, leaning forward and maybe using the blocks either to reach or to rest your forehead on, stacking them on top of each other. We're going to hold this for about a minute. Just really breathe into it. And now you can pick up each of the blocks in each of your hands, and reaching over the left foot, you can place those blocks on either side of your foot and rest your hands on each of the blocks, or if you'd rather, you can just reach for your toes. We're going to hold this. Breathing into it, again, allowing gravity to do the work for you. And then you can pick up the blocks and place them on either side of your right foot, reaching for your right toes or just resting your hands on top of the blocks. And then back to neutral. Our next pose will be bending our right knee over the left leg, which is out straight, twisting to the right, gazing to the back of the room, using the left elbow to leverage on the right knee. Keeping your gaze over your right shoulder. Continue leveraging that left elbow on the right knee. Slowly turning your head and your gaze to look over your left shoulder. Hold it there. And then slowly returning your gaze to look back over your right shoulder. All while continuing to leverage that left elbow on the right knee. Then back to neutral. Simply switch sides, bending the left knee over the right leg. Right leg is out straight, gazing to the left towards the back of the room. Leveraging that right elbow on the left knee. And then slowly turning your head and neck to be looking out the other direction over your right shoulder. Continuing to leverage that right elbow on that left knee. And then slowly and carefully turning your head and your gaze to look back over your left shoulder once again. And then turn your head and neck to neutral, and we will get back into the butterfly position, holding the soles of the feet together with your hands, pressing your knees towards the floor, bending your head and your neck forward towards your feet and the floor. And then as we rise the head up, imagine a string being pulled from the sky, from the top of your head, pulling your posture straight up. Twisting your head to look over your right shoulder. Slowly back to neutral. And then twisting your head and neck to be looking over your left shoulder. And then back to neutral. And now we're going to get into Lord of the Fish, bending the right knee over the left knee that is also bent and twisting to the right. The right arm is back. Your left elbow leverages against your right knee. Looking to the back of the room. Continue to hold this pose. Breathing into it. Keeping your gaze over your right shoulder. Continuing to leverage that left elbow on the right knee. And then slowly turn the head to look out over your left shoulder. Slowly rotate your head and neck to be looking back out over your right shoulder. and then back to neutral. We're going to straighten both legs out in front of you for the staff pose, reaching your arms wide out to the sides, making that half moon arch up to the sky. Steeple grip your fingers. Sit up tall, and then bending forward and reaching for your toes before coming up to switch legs for the other side. The left knee over the right bent knee, twisting to the left. Right arm will be leveraging against the left knee, looking to the back of the room, over your left shoulder. Continuing to leverage that right arm against the left knee. Slowly turn that gaze to be looking out over your right shoulder. And then slowly returning the gaze to be looking back out over the left shoulder. Continuing to leverage that right elbow on that left knee. And then the head is back to neutral, and once again into the staff pose, arms out wide, legs are out in front, making that half moon arch, touching fingertips overhead, and then reaching for the toes. As you come up, transition into easy pose, reaching your arms out to the sides, reaching up for the half moon arch, touching your hands together to prepare for eagle arms. Get your arms into cactus or goalposts, and then the right elbow over the left elbow, hands together, pushing elbows slightly up, bending head and neck down. Really feel that stretch across your shoulder blades, your upper back. Slowly, we're going to move the arms and the head looking up towards the ceiling, as high as you can, leaning your head back slightly while still in eagle arms. And then coming back to neutral, unpretzeling your arms, reaching out to the sides into that half moon, arms overhead to prayer hands, and then back to cactus. And eagle arms with the left elbow over the right elbow, pushing the elbow slightly up and bending the neck and head down. Feeling that wonderful stretch across your shoulder blades. When you're ready, slowly transitioning to be looking up towards the ceiling, moving your arms with your head and your glance. Leaning your head back slightly, looking up as high as you can. Continuing with the eagle arms. Coming out of this, we will stretch our arms out wide again to the sides, and again making that half moon arch overhead into steeple grip, sitting tall, maybe a slight arch in the back, stretching over slightly to the right side at about the 2 o'clock position, hands in steeple grip, and then gliding the torso across the front of your body and the floor until your steeple grip is about the 10 o'clock position over to the left side. Hold it there before then sliding and gliding back across to that 2 o'clock position again. And then reaching up, straight up for the steeple grip again. And we can undo our hands and lay down on your back. Plant both feet on the floor, knees bent. You'll probably want a pillow or a block in between your knees and maybe another one next to you so that you can allow your knees to fall to the right. Arms are in a T, focusing our gaze out over the left fingertips. Just let those knees fall over to the right side, onto a block or a pillow if you like. Nice, relaxing twist. Keeping the focus of your drishti over your left fingertips if your arms are in a T, or just over your left shoulder. Slowly, you're going to rotate your head to look over the right shoulder. And then slowly return your head to be looking out over your left shoulder. And then your head is back to neutral. Bring your knees to neutral. Allow both knees to fall to the left, gazing out over your right fingertips or over your right shoulder. Just relaxing into this nice, simple, easy twist. After a minute, we'll slowly turn the head and the neck to set your gaze over the left shoulder or left fingertips. And then slowly turning your head to set your gaze back over your right shoulder or right fingertips. Then back to neutral. Knees are back to neutral. Remove the props. Then plant both feet flat on the mat again, putting your right knee over your left knee and allowing your legs to fall to your right. Again, your arms can be in a T, gazing out over your left fingertips with your drishti. This is probably my favorite of all the twists. I love them all. Keeping your gaze over your left fingertips, really feeling that stretch, feeling that twist along your muscles, your internal organs. Slowly, we're going to turn the head and the neck to look out over the right shoulder, the right fingertips. And then neutral. Both feet flat on the mat. Hug those knees into the chest, rocking and rolling. Really massaging the back onto the mat. Before planting both feet back onto the mat for the other side, your left knee over your right knee, allowing the legs to fall to the left side with your gaze over your right fingertips. Keeping your gaze over to the right side, the right shoulder, the right fingertips, feeling that twist, again, internally as well as on your outer muscles. Slowly and carefully, we're going to rotate the head and the neck to be looking over the left shoulder. And then returning to neutral. And again, we're going to hug the knees one more time, rocking and rolling. If you would like to, and it's in your practice, you have an opportunity here to do the happy baby. If you don't want to do the happy baby, you can take the opportunity to do any variety of other stretches that you like, yogi's choice. If you're in happy baby, you might want to rock the baby, maybe alternating, straightening and slightly bending each knee one at a time. Maybe straightening both knees at the same time in a splits. Just moving with this stretch and getting whatever it is that your body is asking for at this point in time. Enjoy that happy baby. Coming out of this form, lay flat and then reach for a block for supported bridge. We'll plant both feet firmly on the mat, lifting the hips, sliding that block under the small of your back on its lowest level. We're going to remain in the supported bridge, just relaxing the weight of your hips on that block. remember what your intention was that you set at the beginning of this practice. What it is you want to incorporate more of into your life, what it is you would like to eliminate or minimize out of your life to allow room to make that transition happen. While still on the block, you can reach for your strap for legs up the wall, or you could do legs up the wall on the block without the strap if you like. We're going to remain in legs up the wall for several breaths. As you're coming out of that pose, you can set the strap down beside you. You can remove the block, and if it's in your practice, there's an option here for a shoulder stand and the plow. You can take a couple of minutes to do the shoulder stand and the plow at your own pace, or yogi's choice if you would rather just get into the savasana early, or if there's any other stretch that you would like to do before we're finishing up here. We can meet in savasana if you're doing other stretches or shoulder stand. Continue with that. Paying close attention to how your body is feeling now that we're at the end, towards the end of this practice. In the event that you're coming out of the plow, try to go as slow and controlled as you can with your chin tucked, one vertebrae at a time, rolling yourself down to the floor before relaxing into savasana. Or the corpse pose. Once again, recounting the vision that you set your intentions on, what it is that you want to cultivate more of in your life, what it is that you want to extinguish or reduce from your life, how you see that transition happening, letting go to make room for what it is that you would like to see more of. Bring your awareness back to the room and into your body. Slowly, as you're ready to come out of savasana, you have a few options. You can roll onto one side or the other. pausing before you gently push yourself up. Or if it's comfortable, there's an option to rock slightly on your back and slightly tuck your chin, coming up onto your elbows, pushing yourself up into staff pose. Either way, we will meet in staff pose. Reaching your arms out to the sides for that half moon, again arching them up overhead. Hands in steeple grip, arching the back ever so slightly, looking towards the ceiling, and then reaching forward towards the toes, sitting back upright. We will get into easy pose. Left hand on the right knee, right hand on the floor behind you, lightly twisting to the right, and then crossing your right hand over onto your left knee. Your arms are crossed, and then reaching your left hand behind you for another light twist to the left before taking that left hand and placing it back on your right knee into crossing your arms once again, before coming out of this shape, reaching both arms out to the sides and up to the sky, lightly touching the palms to each other, and then placing your hands on each of your knees, touching our pointer finger to our thumb on each knee. We will chant Om 3 times in a low pitch. Stretching those arms out wide to one last half moon arch, bringing the arms up overhead to prayer hands. And then to acknowledge your insight and wisdom, touching your thumbs or knuckles onto your third eye on the way to hands over heart. Taking our left palm and placing it onto our heart and our right palm on top of that left hand. Bow to a close to seal the practice, and so it is. Thank you for practicing with me today. Your body thanks you, and I thank you, and I hope you have a very blessed rest of your day.